Hello students, welcome to the second chapter of commercial applications, that is ownership structures, sole proprietorship and joint Hindu family business. So by now the meaning of business must be clear to you. As in the previous chapter, we have read about the meaning and nature of business and we have done other characteristics of business also. So you know that any work which is related to the production of goods and services and buying and selling of goods and services, that is termed as business. It is an economic activity. So today we are going to study about different types of business forms, which is known as ownership structures. First of all, I would like to tell to you the meaning of ownership structure. It means the form or the way in which a business is owned and run. Means how you are owning a business and how you are running it. There are different ownership structures, or there are different ways to own a business and to run a business. First form is sole proprietorship. Second form is joint Hindu family business. Third form is partnership business. Fourth is a joint stock company, and the fifth type is cooperative society. So in this chapter, lesson number 2, we have to study two types of ownership structures, sole proprietorship and joint Hindu family business. And first we are going to take up sole proprietorship. Alright, this is a form of business. Ownership structure, I told you, it is the way in which a business is owned and a business is run. So coming to the meaning of sole proprietorship first. Sole word means one or single, and proprietor means trader or the businessman. So sole proprietorship means a business which is owned by a single individual. Alright, that is why it is known as sole proprietorship. Before starting with the chapter, here are a few terms and you should be clear about the meaning of these terms. Only then you will be able to understand the various topics given in this lesson. Because throughout the ownership structures, you will come across these terms. You have to write these terms in your registers, and you also have to draw this diagram and write the meaning of ownership structures in your registers in the beginning of lesson number 2. Borrowed funds. This word will be there in the book. Borrowed funds means when we borrow money from someone for some business purpose. So borrowed funds, we can commonly call it as loans. Alright. Legal. Legal means lawful, which is not against the law of a country. Entity. Entity means independent existence. Alright. Independent ownership, independent business. So entity means independent existence. Insolvent. Suppose a person is there and he took rupees 50,000 from the other person. But now he has no money left with him and he cannot pay it back. Alright. So he will be called insolvent. He has no property, no money. So he cannot pay his debts now. He cannot pay the money that he owes to someone else. That is known as insolvent, unable to pay debts. Dissolve. This word means to close down. You will be reading various sentences where it will be written in the book that the business was dissolved. Dissolved means closed down. Liability. Liability means when you are legally responsible to pay something to the other person. Suppose I took rupees 5,000 from my neighbor. Alright. So I am legally liable to pay it back to my neighbor. Because it was not a gift, I took it and I have to return it. Alright. So I am liable. This is my liability. Unlimited liability means when your liability is without limit, which may extend to your personal property or your personal assets. Means if you are not able to return the money, then you have to return it, whether you sell your personal property or you sell any of your personal asset. Asset means anything that belongs to you which is of some value. Debts. Debts, we call it debts. B is silent here. Debts means a sum of money owed or due to the other person. The amount of money that I have to pay to the other person, that is known as a debt, because I have to return it. Assets means the property owned by a person or any asset owned by anything owned by a person which is of some value, means it has some monetary value, that is known as asset. So if I have a car, a scooter and a house, so these are all my assets. If I have bank balance, that is also my asset. Then capital, this I discussed earlier also, the money or assets owned by a person to start a business, that is known as capital. Now coming to your chapter. So we are going to take this topic, sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship is also known as sole tradership. Sole trader business is a type of business unit where one person is solely responsible for providing the capital, for bearing the risk of the enterprise, enterprise means business, and for the management of the business. It is that form of business organization which is owned, managed and controlled by a single individual who receives all profits and risks. So basically we are saying sole proprietorship is that type of business which is owned, controlled as well as managed by a single individual. Alright students, so only one person, this single individual is the owner of the business. He only will control the whole business and he alone will manage every working of the business. And because he is doing everything alone, he alone will get all the profits. Alright, means he doesn't have to share his profits with anybody else. So he alone will get all the profits. And if we say the opposite of this sentence, he alone will bear the losses of the business. So you can say that sole proprietorship is a one-man show. Alright. Coming to the features or characteristics of sole proprietorship. Single ownership. It is owned by a single individual. He has to bring his capital and he can also bring borrowed funds. Borrowed funds, I told you, he can take loan. One man control. Only one person has control over the whole business. He is not required to ask anybody or consult anybody. Alright. So he will be the owner and he will manage his business. No separate legal entity. Means the business and the owner are the same. If the business suffers loss, it is the loss of the owner. Alright. If the owner dies, the business will also come to an end. If the owner becomes insolvent, then the business is dissolved. I have discussed these terms, insolvent, dissolved. So if the owner dies, the business will also come to an end. So you cannot say that they are separate. There is no separate legal entity. Owner and the business are the same. Unlimited liability means the proprietor is personally liable for all the debts. I will explain to you with an example. Suppose a person owns a shop and he took, suppose, a loan of rupees 1 lakh from some other person. Alright. And because of some losses, he is not able to pay that amount to the other person. Then the person from whom he took the money, he can ask the owner to sell his property or to sell his goods and pay his money. Means the owner of this shop, he will have to pay the money back no matter whether he has to sell his property or any of his asset. This means unlimited liability. To pay the debts, he has to take any possible step that he can. Alright. So he is personally liable for all the debts. The personal property of the proprietor can also be attached. If he doesn't pay, the court can order that the personal property of the owner should also be attached. No profit sharing. Because there is only one person, so there is no need to share profits with anybody else. He alone will get all the profits and he alone will bear all the losses also. Small size, because there is one person, the capital is limited, the funds are limited, so it is difficult to expand the business to a large scale. All right. Suppose there would have been 2, 3, 4, 5 or more persons in a business. Then that business can be easily expanded because there will be more capital. But here there is small size of business. Then no legal formalities. It is very easy to form a single or a sole proprietorship, and in the same way it can be ended up in a very easy manner. No legal formalities are required to start, manage or dissolve the business. In some businesses only a license is required, and that is also not necessary in all the businesses. All right, students. So these are the characteristics.